YouTube, Twitch. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, definitely subscribe, please, and thank you. And ask any fantasy questions you have. If you're live, definitely jump in the live chat. We will answer your questions right away. The show is mostly about you. If you ask questions after the fact in the comments, we will find them, we will respond to them, and we will help you win. How about that? And how are you doing, Trevor? Audio seems better now.
I'm doing all right. I think we'll just do the thing where I mute myself whenever I'm not talking. Usually that's, that helps too. Doing all right. Week 1 was kind of weird. And by kind of, I mean very weird. Nobody was passing for any yards, it seems. Running backs, there were weird backfield splits, especially in Denver. I knew it was going to be weird. I didn't know it was going to be that weird. Monter St. Brown did nothing in a high-scoring game. Puka went down. Like, a lot of weird moving parts. So hopefully we'll see some more consistency in week 2.
Yeah, I mean, things will definitely shake out. I mean, there's still teams hiding things. There's teams that are just trying to get fancy week 1, but mostly it was just, I mean, there may have been 4 quarterbacks who played well. It's just bad quarterback play. I said it last year at the NFL is, they have chronically terrible quarterbacks. Like, there's very few actually good quarterbacks in the NFL nowadays. And this year is getting off to a fast start. And every offense also was behind the chains fucking the start of every drive because of the refs as well. So that's going to be the case for a couple more weeks. And then the refs usually start to swallow flags, is what it is. But we'll be going over fantasy rankings here. We will also talk about a lot of the injury news. Obviously, there has been a lot. There's a little bit more clarity on some situations. A couple players may be ruled out tomorrow night for Thursday Night Football already. High drafted players. And the whole Christian McCaffrey thing, obviously, for fantasy, threw a loop into everything. Sounds like there's a real chance he doesn't play this week, especially given the opponent. 49ers should not have an issue with the Vikings. They may run for 4 touchdowns in the first half. But that is a situation we'll talk about a little bit later. In terms of players already ruled out, and then we'll jump into some rankings. We know Raheem Mostert's out. We know David Njoku's out. And then there's some quarterbacks that are question marks, right? Jordan Love, I can only assume will be out. Jake Ferguson, I assume he's going to be out. You don't go from 3 to 6 weeks to a half a week. That just doesn't happen. So these reports about, they could play, I love it. I really do. But it is just, it's not draft season anymore. We don't need to be throwing out these smoke screens that are so blatantly obvious. You know what I mean? Like, they're not playing this week.
Well, and on top of that, like, Jake Ferguson said something along the lines of when he first hurt his knee, the pain level was at a 10. Now it's a 0. Luckily, it's a bone bruise. It's week 1. Do you think they're going to hear that, or he's going to feel that kind of pain and they're going to throw him out there for week 2 when they're probably going to waltz into the playoffs? Absolutely not.
I also love the report that Jake Ferguson was practicing on the players coming back to play field today. What do you think that means? Tell me what that means, because I'll tell you, he practiced with the injured players today and not with the team. Okay, so he's not playing. Great, fantastic. Doesn't take all the players are coming back to play. If they're not, then they're not practicing. Just for people at home. That was one of the stupidest reports I've ever seen in my life. Just non-football people trying to talk about football. It kills me inside. Okay, let's jump into some rankings. We did well. If you followed my rankings week 1, you probably won, given they are ranked 11th overall. But that only means there's 10 people ahead of us, 10 losers that we're coming for this week. That is all our focus is on. Quarterbacks, I'm not very different on very many compared to the consensus. It looks like the biggest one is on 4 spots higher on Gardner Minshew at 27, and on 4 spots lower on Jacoby Brissett at 28. But in terms of the top end, I have Jalen Hurts as my number 1 quarterback. I like the opponent more. It's versus Atlanta. I have Josh Allen number 2 tomorrow night at Miami. It just seems like he's going to continue taking a bunch of goal line touches. We got Lamar Jackson at 3. I don't expect him to run as much, but he'll be good. Anthony Richardson at 4. And then I have Jaden Daniels at 5. Jaden Daniels, I also don't think is going to run it as much, but again, he's not going to become a passing quarterback. They're just not going to do that. He'll run the football, just not what he did last week.
Yeah, and I mean, talk about hitting the nail on the head in terms of, sleepers, deep sleepers with the ADP lower than 100. Jaden Daniels looked the part week 1. To your point, he is going to run less, but if he runs less, right? Like the defense, I'm not saying there's no way to stop Jaden Daniels. That's an idiotic statement, but like the defense is going to have to probably put a spy on him for a lot of plays. And if there's a spy on him or there's a zone, like it's harder to defend the pass when you got to worry about that guy running. So he's still going to get his. He's still going to throw the ball. To your point, he's still going to run the ball. He's going to run for a lot of touchdowns this year. So I think he's probably going to be a perennial top 5 weekly quarterback for me. And that just speaks to all the people who got him in round 10 or later.
Oh, by the way, Jaden Daniels plays the Giants this week. So we just saw what Sam Darnold did to him. Flores, I almost called him Flowers. Brian Flores is going to be blitzing a bunch, which that's why he's not running as much this week. And he's not going to run as much going forward because they have to protect him a little bit. But if they're going to be blitzing, Jaden Daniels is going to find people. I think he was the best quarterback in college last year statistically against the blitz. If I am remembering correctly, it helped having Malik Neighbors and other people. But Jaden Daniels will be taking shots. He'll take deep shots to Terry McLaurin this week. I think Luke McCaffrey's a nice sleeper. I thought he saw, people are talking about like McCaffrey did nothing last week. Zach Ertz did nothing last week. I mean, when Jaden Daniels threw the ball 10 times or whatever it was, like not very many, their target shares were huge. And I think that's going to continue. I think Jaden Daniels is very willing to check it down, which is good this week. They're playing a heavy blitz team. And then once he checks it down enough times, I mean, that's where Terry McLaurin's going to kill people. So, yeah, things are going to get better for Jaden Daniels in fantasy, and he's already very good. So, not worried about him. Steelers are expecting Justin Fields to start for them this week. Arthur Smith handcuffed him successfully last week. I can only assume they're going to do the exact same this week, except for they're just going to throw to George Pickens less. Obviously, Patrick Surtain's there. He's going to just lock him up. Yeah, any other quarterbacks we want to touch on? There really isn't any. Jordan Love not practicing. We kind of said it, but Jordan Love not practicing. Jordan Love most likely not going to play. We'll talk about this more next show on Lombardi Sweep immediately after this. But assume Malik Willis is in the lineup. And I had questions about this Monday. Malik Willis in the lineup. You're not playing Malik Willis. And yes, it downgrades the Packers receivers. However, I don't think Jaden Reed is affected because Jordan Love hasn't made one play for Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed, I think my exact wording was Jordan Love somehow fitted in a 25-yard window last week to Jaden Reed. And that's what's been his entire career. I don't know how, but he's always fucking open. Credit to the scheme, credit to him. But any quarterback should be able to deliver him the ball. I don't think Jordan Love not being in there is going to change really how defenses think about how they play the quarterback, to be honest. Malik's a little more mobile, so they have to defend that a little bit, but I think Malik has a bigger arm. I think Malik's more mobile, and I think he's just as inaccurate. So, and he doesn't know the offense. So now you're kind of playing a wild card. You got to defend Mike White kind of in there, which helps. But in terms of the receivers, play Jaden Reed. I'm not playing Malik Willis. Do you guys trust him at all, even in two QB leagues?
Fuck no.
It's tough to. Again, Packers love smoke screens. They're doing it this week with Jordan Love. It truly would not surprise me if Sean Clifford starts this game, even still. They're talking about it. They're saying it's Jordan Love or Malik Willis this week. The Packers would love to throw Sean Clifford out there and act like they got the upper hand on the defense.
I don't think it matters what quarterback starts. Like, a pass is not going more than 15 yards in this game.
I think Malik Willis will fucking chuck it. I don't think it'll be completed. I just think he'll just whip it. It'll be a slant and he'll throw it 80 yards. He's got a little bit of Joe Milton in him like that. You ask Joe Milton to throw it 90 yards, he'll throw it 95. You ask him to throw it 15 yards, he's going to throw it 95 yards. Malik Willis has a little bit of that in him. Not as aggressive as I would like, but he can whip it. Go Bills. Would you start Harris, assuming Najee? I guess we don't really have to worry about Damian Harris anymore. Najee Harris over Rashad White due to his tough matchup. I think I'm still going to White, but I do think they're a lot closer this week than last week.
Well, yeah, right. Jalen Warren's, dealing with injury. We kind of saw that last week. Cordell Patterson had a couple snaps. Like Najee Harris had 21 carries in the backfield. They won the game without scoring a touchdown. I don't see why they go away from that. But Tampa's probably the better team, like probably the better offense right now, right? So I honestly I don't think you're wrong either way here.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm going Rachaad White too.
Yeah, jumping into the running back rankings just super quick, half PPR, but I have Rachaad White at 21, Najee Harris at 24. Najee plays the Broncos, and I guess Kenneth Walker ran all over him. I respect Kenneth Walker a lot, and Najee Harris isn't the same type of player as he is. Rachaad White plays the Lions, and for as good as the Lions played, I'm not afraid of their run defense in the slightest. No. And they still gave up like 30 whatever points to the Rams. Like they didn't stop anybody. They made a lot of big plays. They made a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage, and they looked good. But this Lions defense didn't really come out and rock the world last week, especially in the second half. So yeah, I think you're fine with Rachaad White, and it's even better that they kind of got to give him a breather last week, given how well they were playing, because Bucky Irving. I mean, Luke, you can talk about him a little bit. Bucky Irving, I thought he had a little bit of, it's a lazy fucking take, but he had a little Pacheco in him. Like he just ran with his head down. He ran really fucking tough. He looked good.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like a guy who ran with nothing to lose, right? And he's a rookie coming in. It looks like he's, wants a starting spot, and good for him. I don't know. You guys have any strong opinions on Rachaad White? I think he's fine. He's a guy. I think this, could Bucky Irving take over the running back room by the end of the year? Maybe could he take it over next year? Maybe. I think he's great running back right now for Tampa Bay. I love a lot what Tampa Bay is doing, and that goes a lot back to like we finally have a stable offense for Baker Mayfield, and can kind of just let Baker Mayfield be Baker Mayfield. So I had written down Bucky Irving where the stash question mark. I think he is. Like if Rachaad White goes down from what I saw in week 1, I loved what I saw from Bucky Irving. And even with Rachaad White, Irving is getting carries in this offense.
Mm-hmm. Trevor?
I think he's definitely worthy of a stash. I think if we're talking about meaningful snaps in a way of like starting to take over the backfield, I think it's definitely next year. But I mean, to your point, injuries can happen to absolutely anybody. And he does get meaningful snaps. He has a role in this offense, even with Rachaad White there. So for that, he should be on a bench.
Yeah, I talked about Bucky Irving on that Monday waiver stream. Yeah.
He feels a little bit like, maybe to a lesser degree of like, and of course it's hard to judge off of 1 week, but remember when, Ezekiel Elliott was kind of going along the wayside in Dallas and Tony Pollard was like everyone's darling? It kind of feels a little bit of like an ignition, a little bit of start of that right now.
I think it definitely can be. I'm a huge Rachaad White believer. Like, I really love him. I think he's one of the better running backs in the NFL, and people just don't talk about him for some reason. So I don't think there's any chance in hell Bucky Irving like takes over the backfield, but like, could he start taking goal line carries? For sure. And finally, there's a backup in Tampa Bay that I respect and who I think can take over the backfield if Rachaad White gets, hurt. Because before they tried to do like Chase Edmonds, they try to do players like that where it's not even worth it to handcuff them because I don't trust the guy who comes in anyways. It's not going to be something worthwhile. It's not going to be a bell cow. It's not going to be any of that. But if Rachaad White gets hurt, it feels a little bit like when Pacheco first came in. Like he's just going to take over. He's not going to do much receiving the ball, but it doesn't really matter, especially since they have enough receivers anyway. So if you're a Rachaad White owner, like this isn't a bold take, but like the one I compared it to on Monday, I think it was the question. I said drop Chuba Hubbard in a heartbeat for him. Like there's no reason to hold on. Chuba Hubbard, you're playing over Bucky Irving this week, but it's just not that valuable to you to have Chuba in that situation. But yeah, Bucky Irving should be owned in 100% of leagues. And if you are the Rachaad White owner, you need to be the one to do it. We talked about Raheem Mostert's out. Devon Achane is questionable. If he somehow is out, then we're talking about Jeff Wilson is probably going to be the lead back. I would assume. And then they got the rookie Jalen Wright, who I like a lot. I think he's extremely talented, but this offense takes a little bit to learn. Jeff Wilson certainly has the trust of his head coach, and he knows the offense. It feels like it would be Jeff Wilson getting the majority of the touches, and then they would use Wilson or Wright, sorry, a little bit like they initially used A-Chain, where it's like, let's bring in a change of pace, let's bring in a spark, let's do that. I think that's what they would do. I think Jeff Wilson would probably, this is what it would be. I think Jeff Wilson would be ranked higher in fantasy. I think he's probably the one who's the safest play, but I'm going for Wright. Like, I think I'm going for the guy who has a potential to earn the trust and beat a home run threat, you know?
Yeah. Jeff Wilson probably grinds out right the 3-yard, 4-yard carries on first, second down. And Wright probably is the guy on 3rd and 1 who gets a smoke screen and takes it 75 yards for a touchdown, which I totally agree with you on. But to your point about Jeff Wilson, being in favor of Mike McDaniel, like, there's a reason they've kept Jeff Wilson around for 3-4 years now. And everyone who says, like, why would you ever draft this guy? Why would you ever pick him up? Like, Mike McDaniel's like this guy. He was with them in San Francisco. He's with them in Miami. There's a reason they kept Jeff Wilson around. It's for like this exact reason right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure if you pick Jeff Wilson up in 18 leagues or 10-team leagues with the thought of the rest of the season, but like if you're in a deeper league, to your point, he has the trust. Mostert injury concerns are par for the course with him. Devon A-Chain is in 1 season. I mean, we'll see with that. So it would not at all be surprising if this scenario didn't come up another 4, 5, maybe even 6 weeks of the season. At that point, Jeff Wilson becomes definitely, RB3, maybe even RB2 consideration, depending on what he does with those touches.
Yeah, I think so. And if A-Chain does end up playing, I think A-Chain obviously is still going to play the A-Chain role then, and then Jeff Wilson would be the guy getting a bunch of the touches. I don't think Wright would be anything other than a DFS play, just hoping he gets in there for a touch or something. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be used very much.
Hope he brings a long one.
Yeah. Other running backs, I mean, top 5. Again, rankings are linked below, so definitely go check them out on flurrysports.org. We got Saquon at 1, Jonathan Taylor 2 at the Packers, Breece Hall 3 at the Titans. I thought he looked really good. Isaiah Pacheco 4 off a long rest versus the Bengals.
Love
and then Bijan 5 at the Eagles, and they're coming off a long rest, but kind of going off of workload. I could put Kyron Williams there or insert San Francisco starting running back, I suppose, could go there as well against the Vikings. Vikings? Yes, Vikings. Yes. Okay. Anyway, anybody out of those 5 stand out to you?
No, I think I like a lot of Chiefs this week, right? And maybe a little credit to New England, although I didn't think New England looked great last week. But Cincinnati looked like horse shit, right? Maybe the worst game I've seen out of that Cincinnati offense since Burrow's been their quarterback. But this is a game Kansas City wants to win. Like, Kansas City, how many times they haven't lost much in the last 5 years, but a couple of those losses have been to Cincinnati. Cincinnati fans are all, panties in bunches about beating Kansas City. Like, this feels like a big, Kansas City, let's go in there and put a fucking 40 points on them. Especially coming off, it kind of feels like Cincinnati's down in the dumps right now. So I'm with it. I'm with them getting the run game going immediately, working play action, working Travis Kelce off of it. But I think that this, like, if Kansas City comes out and just starts, fucking beating the shit out of Cincinnati, it all starts with the running back who beats the shit out of everyone. That's Isaiah Pacheco. So I love it.
If the Chiefs get up big on Cincinnati early, that's going to be very interesting to watch on the Bengals sideline.
Yeah, for sure.
If they could completely implode, which I'm here for. I'm so excited. I love it.
And I'm a Burrow guy. I'm a Chase guy. I like guys in Cincinnati. Like, this feels like almost a season kind of, like, this is a huge fucking game for Cincinnati.
Yeah. I was just going to touch on that. Like, if they get blown out, like, this season is going to go to a spiral. I don't know if they're strong enough to come back. I haven't seen anything out of Burrow to tell me he's good enough to be coming back. Obviously, I think he's got talent, but I mean, what we're seeing out of him is a lot different than the Joe Burrow we've seen in years past. So I'm starting to get worried about that. So they start getting smoked, they're just going to keep running down their throat. They're just going to keep running up the score, and things get really bad for Cincinnati really fast.
Joe Burrow's wrist isn't right. And I used to love Joe. I'm fully out on him, I think. Blonde hair, can't do it. Can't do it and play like this. I saw a video of him. He saw the warm-ups, media cameras on him. He put his helmet on, ran past him, and then did nothing. He did it for the cameras. Can't have it. Can't be doing that.
I think you'll let it go a season yet and then make a decision.
That's fine. That's fine. I also don't like standing up for Jamar Chase because I hate Jamar Chase. But
that's fair.
You know, I get it. I get it.
Joe Burrow's a cool guy. He's a very good player to have as like a head of a franchise. I think
he wants to be a cool guy.
No, Zach, I agree with you 100%. I'm giving it the season.
I'm not. I'm not giving him the season. I'm kind of out on him too. Like, we are all remembering one Super Bowl run as if they didn't need some miracles to beat the Tennessee Titans. Again, not saying the Titans weren't a good team and Vrabel doesn't deserve respect, but come on, you need a rookie kicker to beat Ryan Tannehill. Like, let's be real here.
Respect Tannehill. Let's get to some questions here. We got Jeb.
What up, Jeb?
Just traded James Cook and Keenan Allen for DJ Moore and Michael Pittman Jr. How'd I do? Lost Puka as the wide receiver 2 and no start-worthy player on the bench to replace him. So I love this trade. I thought he destroyed it.
Yeah,
I hate James Cook.
I mean, how we've been talking for 4 years now that James Cook is not scoring touchdowns, and Keenan Allen's now dealing with injury. DJ Moore, especially with Roma Dunze dealing with injury, DJ Moore is obviously the number one guy there. Pittman will be better than he was last week. So, yeah, I love this.
Let me ask you this. Let me put this betting line. James Cook versus DJ Moore. DJ Moore plus 1.5 rushing touchdowns. Which side do you take for the season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never betting. I'm never betting ever on James Cook scoring a rushing touchdown. So it's probably DJ Moore.
Yeah,
I like James Cook better than you guys, but to your point, I mean, you can't count on him to score touchdowns. If he's in your lineup, you're hoping he gets yards and a lot of catches, and that's exactly what I'm doing in Yahoo. That's why I only have him in one league. To your point, you get the 2 better receivers in here. You love that trade.
As other running backs, he's at least 3 deep for when Chubb comes back midseason.
Yeah, fine.
But he's got Jacob, Stevenson, Najee. Love that. Little concerned that your 3 running backs are on bad football teams, but it should be okay, I think.
I think Stevenson's sneaky, though.
Sneaky in what way?
I think he could be. I think a lot of people are acting like he's a dead man, not as if he can catch passes out of the backfield, and Ezekiel Elliott's not out of that team now.
I don't know. I mean, I was higher on him last week than the consensus, but I think people understand he's the offense at this moment. They got nothing else.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on Stevenson. I want to see them play a team that didn't play like their worst game in the last 5 years first.
For sure. And Taco says, would you trade ETN in London for Jonathan Taylor? Also, Nico or Waddle this week for full PPR. We'll get to the start sit in a second, but would you trade ETN in London for Jonathan Taylor?
I would. I mean, I've been talking up the Colts for however, you can't base trades off of 1 week, but I mean, Jonathan Taylor goes for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns coming up on Sunday here. So yeah, I would do it. Like, I don't believe in Drake London. I don't believe in Travis Etienne. He's going to score touchdowns, but I think it's more we're looking at 50, 60 yards a game and maybe a touchdown. So I'm cool with doing this trade.
Trevor,
I'm not as cool with it. I think I probably still would, because as much as I don't think JT is a huge upgrade over Etienne, like, what is Drake London? Like, I did not what I saw at all out of Kirk Cousins this week. I understand he's got a lot battling back from, but like, if Kirk Cousins isn't slinging it, that offense isn't looking much better. I know they played Pittsburgh, but I still don't think we know what Drake London is. So I don't think that's not a huge extra thing to add to a trade to get a guy like Jonathan Taylor.
Go ahead.
I assume that if you're trading Drake London, you must be good at receiver then.
Yeah, I would assume so. The issue with the trade is that you're selling both players. Like, the 2 of the biggest players people are overreacting about this week are ETN and Drake London.
It's fair.
Like, I got so many ETN questions, and ETN especially, stop panicking. I think you're fine. Drake London, the issue with Drake London is he, much like Marvin Harrison Jr., has zero charisma, zero riz, no personality.
No aura.
Is nothing. He might as well play football for Oregon State as like the backup wide receiver. There could be nothing more boring in my mind than these guys. And I say that to say, if Drake London has 2 bad games in a row, he's not tradable. Like, he could have a huge week 3 and week 4, and he will be labeled as, okay, so he's boomer bust. Like, no one will ever come around on Drake London if he starts the year with 2 bad games. I can guarantee that. So if you want to get ahead and trade him now, just in case that happens, he plays the Eagles. Eagles are not pushovers, especially on defense, especially week 2 under Vic Fangio, especially week 2 under Vic Fangio, long extra days to prepare and playing at home in prime time. They could collapse, Falcons. What? They could completely do nothing offensively because of Kirk Cousins in prime time. Primetime Kirk.
Yep.
Depending on what side you are on that now. Yeah. So would I do that trade? I think I would, but I don't know how much better you're getting at running back from ETN to Jonathan Taylor. I'm just not dealing with Drake London at this moment. I'd get something else. You can get more from that trade.
Probably,
right?
Yeah. You can probably get a wide receiver 3 out of that if you really need it.
Yeah, if you need to add another player and just upgrade that player, go ahead and do that. Hockey, Ayuk or Rashee Rice for the rest of the season.
Rashee
I
Rice.
think this is close. Do you not think it's close?
It probably is close. My gut reaction says Rashee Rice. Like he's like I don't know if you guys have strong thoughts on Travis Kelce. I guess it's hard to say that Travis Kelce is still not the number 1 passing option in that offense. It really feels like Rashee Rice is there, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's 2. You got 2 people here. One of them's a bad person, and it's not Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
We had Brandon Ayuk not showing up to work and not doing his job, and it showed in this first game. Can't run the right routes, can't catch passes. Rashee Rice, whatever you want to say about him, he's been on time. He's been in practice. He's put in the work. So football gods care about one thing, that's football. And they're going to bless this guy. So I love Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
Love him.
I'm all in on Rice too. I think it takes Ayuk at least 3 weeks to come back. So now we're talking about is Rice going to be that much worse for the next 11 to make up for what I think will be a pretty sizable gap the first 4? I don't think so.
I'm an Ayuk guy. I love Brandon Ayuk. I think he's a really good player, but he's a good player. I fucking hate, like, fuck you sitting out and saying that you want to be traded, and then they give you an ultimatum. Fuck you, grow some hair on your nuts and leave the team if you're that fucking pissed off,
Honestly, like someone needs to teach him a lesson. I do not like it. There's no way George Kittle likes it. There's no shot.
Fuck no. No chance.
He hates Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy. Again, one of those people. He doesn't even form opinions. That's how bland this guy is. He's nothing to me. But George Kittle, he hates Brandon Ayuk with a passion.
But John Lynch hates Brandon Ayuk. He hates that he had to resign.
I actually have a little insight on this, and Lynch hated Ayuk before this year.
Fair.
And this year, can't imagine.
Yeah.
He wants to murder. He wants to be a safety in the NFL still.
Yeah.
Just to come across the middle on Brandon Ayuk. He would knock him out for sure. He would be done. Jonas Danielson. Flex spot help. Waddle, DJ Moore, Brian Thomas Jr. Starting wide receivers are Hill, Garrett Wilson. So 2 great starters. I'm going Waddle.
Yeah, for sure. Take all the Dolphins passing points here.
Part of me is like, don't take Waddle because you don't want all your eggs in one basket. But also the basket is the Bills with what's his nuts at safety.
Yeah, DeMar Hamlin could shut him down.
Yeah. So I'm taking Waddle every single time.
Yeah, right. Brian Thomas, you're doing exactly what you did last week and just hoping he scores a touchdown, which worked last week. It's hard to believe that's going to work every single week, right? Chicago didn't score an offensive touchdown last week, and Miami is still one of the best offenses in the NFL. So Waddle.
Yeah, not afraid of Buffalo's defense whatsoever. I'm afraid of Chicago's offense and not in the way that they are hoping for.
Yeah.
I think Titans are getting so disrespected here, and they should because of what Will Levis did.
You're right.
But their defense is legit.
Yeah, the only person who should be getting disrespected is Will Levis. Like, the Titans played a good fucking football game.
That guy. Little spoiler alert to one of my underdog picks. I have a couple written down. The Will Levis unders are beautiful. Yeah, I don't know how you turn against them this week.
They are going to get fucking 60 bowled by the Jets this week, man.
Yeah.
Pissed off Aaron Rodgers against Will Levis, please.
Jesus. Will Levis is so bad at football. It's inexcusable that he's the starter. And they're like, you know what? We figured it out. We got our quarterback. fuck you.
Yeah.
And then they fire Vrabel in the meantime because I'm sure Vrabel said, "Are you kidding me? Like, let me make the draft picks, please."
Can we talk about something for a second?
Sure.
Why are there so many fucking bad GMs in the NFL right now?
Yep. I ask that every single time. You cannot draft or start a quarterback that has a perfume that smells like mayo. That seems like one of the cardinal sins.
Like, Tennessee aside, Carolina just fucking destroyed their team and gave it all to Chicago. Like, Chicago is the Carolina Panthers right now.
They're still that good.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they got a little Carolina stench on them. But yeah, horrible GMs, non-football people making decisions above the GMs, which is the reason for all of this. Bad head coaches, horrendous quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like trickle down footballonomics is what's going on. It's not great. It's not a good situation in the NFL right now.
There was like 4 good players last week, like total in the NFL.
And I'm counting Cooper Kupp twice because that's how great it was to see him do something.
And I'm counting TJ Watt twice, so I guess that's our 2 players.
There we go. 12 standard. Who do you start in my flex? Aaron Jones, DK Metcalf. Ooh, that is tough. Aaron Jones plays in the Niners. I'm going DK. Have to.
Yeah.
Standard scoring, if that matters.
I didn't.
Oh, standard does matter.
What was Aaron? Do you have it in front of you? Like, what was the Vikings offense last week? Like, what were the running back splits? I know it was kind of a weird game because of Daniel Jones, but like it felt like all Aaron Jones did was score that 3-yard rushing touchdown.
Oh, Aaron Jones played a lot and he looked so good.
Okay.
He got the majority of the touches. I got the snaps here. So Aaron Jones had 30 of the 55 snaps, and then it was just Ty Chandler. So 60-ish, 65%.
So it's going to be tough to run the ball, right, against San Francisco, as we saw kind of last week with the Jets. Do we think
65%.
that Aaron Jones can play somewhat of like Breece Hall and just pick up yards in the pass game this week? Like, is that something that you're banking on over a DK Metcalf being the wide receiver 1 in Seattle? Which may not be true.
I think the scenario would be that's true. I think the scenario is Aaron Jones. It could be Breece Hall without the touchdown, and at that point, I'm not interested.
That's fair. I agree with that.
He looks so good, though.
For me, I'm going Aaron Jones because he looks good, and DK is a mega bitch. I will never trust DK Metcalf or the Seattle Seahawks, especially against New England. I just can't do it.
That is fair. The Packers offense with Aaron Jones right now would be so good.
Be nice.
It would be so much better. I wish we could see Aaron Jones in this offense sometime.
You know what the Packers could use right now? Maybe this is for Lombardi sweep. They could use players like Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones.
Could you imagine if surprise, like this is what we had. This is what happens if you just used your draft picks on receivers beforehand instead of just being like, we can develop these guys. We can do it.
Let's draft a 4-string quarterback at Georgia or cornerback at Georgia and put him at safety and see if that works.
Jesus Christ. It's so every time. Hey, let's put all of the positions he could play in a hat and then draw a position out and see what happens.
Well, and you talk about bad GMs, right? Goot, say what you want. Realistically,
I will.
People think, and not just Packer fans, think he's really good. And this motherfucker took Royce Newman like 3 rounds too early. Took Jordan Love like a round and a half too early. Like,
he has almost no good draft picks.
He took
people
Eric
are acting
Stokes
like he destroys.
when he took this. He takes the second best Georgia player off the board every time. Like, and he's one of the average to better ones as most people look at him, which is wild.
And Lucas Van Ness can't get on the field. Would you guys rather have, ask Nino, would you rather have Malik Neighbors or DJ Moore rest of the year? That's a super interesting one.
This is an interesting one. I think Neighbors is a better receiver than Moore, but I think Moore sees more production than Neighbors based on their situations.
I think so, too. I think Neighbors gets Drew Lock throwing to him sooner rather than later. And I think that could be an upgrade for the deep ball.
And that's something that I forgot to write down, and this is kind of going off of this. That's not really about the trade, but just a quick question. I forgot to write it in our sheet. Like, Drew Lock is not a bad for a stash if like you're in a super flex league right now.
Correct. Completely agree. And the Giants coming out and saying that they're going to start Daniel Jones week 2, thinking they have to come out and make that statement is embarrassing.
Yeah.
That it's bad GMs. There's another one. There's people who watched Hard Knocks offseason and said, I like Joe Shane. I met one. They are, can you believe that? Like the first shot, I loved them, but I'm not a GM. They made the first episode about him eating Uncrustables.
Yeah.
That was his personality. It's insane. I don't understand that. With that being said, I think I go DJ Moore too.
Yeah, I think so.
What's DJ Moore's value if Chicago has another repeat though?
Nothing. And that's why I'm going Neighbors, because I think that's going to happen. And I think there's a better chance that Neighbors explodes, turns into OBJ, and says, give me the
Big
damn ball.
difference.
And they just have to force feed him. Maybe he goes OJ too. We don't know.
We don't. That's the scary part.
So, yeah.
That's fantasy football, baby.
It's week 1, man. I love week 1 reactions.
Like, that's one of the best overreactions I've seen, though. Malik Neighbors could go OJ Simpson. And honestly, I saw the Giants lose the Vikings too. It was tough.
I'm just thinking, like, on any given week, do you start DJ Moore over Malik Neighbors? And I think that's a really interesting conversation to have. And I think I would do it probably every week, and I would hate it every week.
There's a scenario though, like a couple more weeks, Malik Neighbors is going to get the ball, and if he's going to demand the ball too. I thought Wan'Dale Robinson looked very good too, which I think does help Neighbors.
Neighbors is a fucking stud, man.
Yeah, they hit on that one. And with the Derrick Henry news, would anybody? Yeah, I don't know if there's news. I want to try and move on. Oh, just that we didn't bring him in to give him 80 touches a game. Any specific targets? Yeah, I thought it was obvious, but
Justice Hill.
Yeah. If you don't like Derrick Henry, go for the other guy. That's a great. I think Derrick Henry's fine. I think pause.
Yeah.
Ravens are going to be winning games more often. They're losing games, so he's going to see more workload than he saw week 1. You're not trading Derrick Henry after week 1. Simple buy low, sell high. That's not going to work. But yeah, I don't even know. Would you rather have him or Najee Harris? I think people kind of feel the same about both right now, which is unfortunate.
For sure, Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Him or what else? What's a
Derrick Henry's still one of the better running backs in the NFL. He's going to get goal line work. Like I'm the biggest Lamar Jackson fan that you'll ever find. And I don't know about you guys, but Lamar Jackson looks so much like faster and better than the last couple of years, at least running the ball. It's going to be hard for Lamar Jackson to sustain 16 rushes a game. Like Derrick Henry is going to get first and second down work. They're not going to be fighting from behind like they were against the Chiefs. The Ravens are a good team. Henry's going to get carries.
Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs?
Derrick Henry. Don't trust.
Okay.
Do not trust Josh Jacobs.
I think Henry scores touchdowns. Jacobs doesn't.
Okay. I thought that was going to be a tough one. I'm trying to find the line. Derrick Henry or Jahmyr Gibbs?
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Probably Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm biased, so I'll say Derrick Henry because I love David Montgomery, but I'd probably Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay, and very different week 1s. Derrick Henry or Kenneth Walker?
Derrick Henry. Can Kenneth Walker stay on the field for more than 2 games at a time?
No, he cannot.
I
skipped one. I'll get to you, Jay, in a second. I already clicked it. I committed.
I was saying it during the draft. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. That's what it should have. Like you should have drafted that in fantasy, and it would have been great. I did it in one league, and it was great last week.
I have it in best ball. It is going to be very fun. Should I start Richardson or Tua this week? I do have Tyreek as well. If that changes anything, that does not change anything. But according to my rankings, I have Richardson and Tyreek. Tua's fine, but Richardson is going to use his legs, and he plays Green Bay.
That's all you need to know.
I don't know what the fuck Jalen Hurts is on. Like Jalen Hurts did not look good running the ball last week. He was like sliding down instead of breaking tackles. Anthony Richardson is breaking tackles and running. Like Indianapolis doesn't need to do the same exact game plan that Philadelphia does, and they win 40-10 in this game.
A lot of people are saying, like truthfully, publicly, and just people have texted that it legitimately was the turf for Philadelphia last week. What the fuck is your deal? I hate
Be an athlete.
Exactly. Go out there in bowling shoes. I still expect you to run a route. It makes no sense. Go out barefoot. There's no rules against it.
Right.
I think there might
be an athlete.
But like, it's so. By the way, Just put an extra stud at the very fucking top. That's how you change it. It's not that hard. And this is the exact type of field that the Eagles have as well as Green Bay. Same thing. So nobody should have been slipping. It's bullshit. And yes, the field sucked. That's fine. I don't care. Like, there's other people last week that looked fast. Jaden Reed was okay.
I don't know. Like, all I've been hearing the last 3 years is that the NFL fields suck. Why is this any different than any other field that anyone else has in the NFL? Play football.
Here's my pushback, and I hate to say this. If you thought that wet field was too sloppy, turf doesn't do that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not a turf guy, but
I'm a turf guy.
You're digging your own hole. You know what? If you're going to tie the noose, you better get in it too. Like you got one option here. So stupid.
What a great line. If you're going to tie the noose, you better get in it too.
Yeah. Don't waste my time. Just do it.
Sit out of the game if you didn't want to play in the field. Fuck you.
Oh, so slippery. What was up with Sauce, by the way? They threw him under the bus on the telecast. I'm hearing it's not an injury. That's such a bad look.
You know what?
There's something happened.
You know what else we got to stop? What the fuck is up with Garrett Wilson having the jersey sleeves that fucking long, dude?
Yeah, agreed. I hate long jersey sleeves.
It looks stupid. I kind of liked it. It's bad because he lost and got beat up. If a guy dressed like that goes for 200,
there, love it. Okay, I agree with that.
The one nice thing though was you always knew who Garrett Wilson was. You didn't have to wait to see the number. You're like, oh, guy with the jackass sleeves. Okay, that's Garrett Wilson.
Now, the best thing would be if a Jordy Nelson or, like, let's say Ladd McConkey this year, they go out in something like that and they win, put a guy in retirement. It's incredible. Yeah. That would be the best thing. Jay has running backs of James Cook, A-Chain, David Montgomery, Derrick Henry, Rashad White. Ooh, six man PPR.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, he recognized it, self-aware. Who should I trade? I feel like I need to upgrade my running backs, and wide receivers are. Your wide receivers are way better than that. Okay.
I'll start with this. First of all, next year, find us and tag us, and we will join so you can make it a 10-man, because 6 is tough.
6 is tough.
I don't know. I've always been in the mindset of a really low league would be fun because you just have fucking studs. So what I'm gonna say here is, like, James Cook, I hate him. A-Chain, I love A-Chain. Montgomery, I love him. Derrick Henry, I love him. Rashad White, whatever. You don't really have a bona fide number one kind of guy who can just, carry the workload. I don't know that you're going to be able to get one because those are really guys that are really hard to trade for. But in a 6-man league, I'm sure someone has maybe even 2 of them. I think you can maybe pry away like a fucking stud at running, like a Breece Hall or something at running back.
Yeah, obviously in a 6-man league, depth does not matter. Like, if you're going for depth, you're going to lose. So you kind of have to find the person who is willing to take on depth and think that strengthens their team. Because if there isn't anybody like that, you're not going to improve, obviously. But if you can go James Cook, and if A-Chain plays tomorrow and goes crazy in prime time, if you can package him and James Cook and upgrade and get a bona fide one, great. Otherwise, I'd go James Cook and any of the guys. I think pick whoever. I would prefer to keep David Montgomery because if Gibbs goes down, I think you get a boost there. Whereas if Bucky Irving goes down, if Justice Hill goes down, Henry doesn't get better. White doesn't get better. So that's the only reason why I'd hang on to Montgomery if you can. But yeah, you're kind of just packaging people who hopefully have really good week 2s and just sell high, I think. If you're going to do it beforehand, good luck trading away Henry. Good luck trading away A-Chain who's hurt. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Jay, if you like us, please stay. I'd like to continue to get updates in your 6-man league because I'm very interested in it. Stay with us all year. Every Wednesday, 7:00.
Mac, does the title say College Football 25 or does it just say that's the game? Because if it's the title, then we need to get rid of Restream. Sick of their shit. We already did that. Peter. Who would you flex this week at half PPR? Aaron Jones, Devontae Smith. I think I gotta go Devontae Smith.
Yeah. He had 6 for 84 last week. Yeah, Aaron Jones much tougher match. Yeah, I'm with Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I want to play Aaron Jones. It's just
I do too.
If he and the Vikings somehow push the 49ers, that's something.
I mean, didn't the Vikings, I mean, granted, they had a much different team. Didn't the Vikings beat the 49ers just like a year or two ago when the 49ers were supposed to beat the crap out of them?
49ers lost to somebody. They always lose to somebody they shouldn't. Didn't they lose to? Oh, I mean, 2 years ago, they lost to the Bears in that super rainy game with Trey Lance.
Week 1.
Everyone's like, Trey Lance can't play.
And then last year, I think it was the Vikings. I think Addison went nuts.
Sure.
So
we'll see.
Do they play the? Well, it's an NFC North team both years, so they're probably going to lose this week. Now that I think about it.
No.
If they do, it's Brandon Ayuk's fault. I can already feel it. Okay, so our rankings are linked below if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook. Go to flurrysports.org and check them out. We're not going through them tonight like we usually do, and I think that's going to be the case going forward. It's better just to answer you guys' questions, to go over fantasy news, but we will still do a segment from last week and a segment that we will be going through. San Francisco's really quick, 0-8 in Minnesota since 92.
That ends this week.
That's true. I'd like to see Sam Darnold's record against the Niners. That's
Sam Darnold revenge game.
It is.
Let me look it up.
Does Sam Darnold get mad or does he just get confused? I don't think Matt's a.
I think he just eats an extra bowl of chili.
You think he's a chili guy?
I do.
Sam Darnold to me seems like a
Sam Darnold,
spicy guy.
Fair.
He played the 49ers in 2020. 21 for 32, 179 yards, a touchdown, no picks, 1 sack.
Good game.
So that tells us
he got the
pretty
sack?
much nothing.
He got sacked or he got the sack?
He got 1 sack for 6 yards against him.
Against him. Okay. I didn't know if he was in the 3 technique or something.
Yeah.
No.
That'd be little respect. Okay. Our segment that's going to get claimed by YouTube because it did last week and it didn't change it. Here we go.
This is the Dogs! This is Sanford, baby! This is how we do it for the Dogs! Go, Georgia! Woo!
Someone will ask if that was worth it to completely get the video demonetized and get flagged. And I would say yes. Yeah, it was worth it. We got an Underdog Fantasy picks as we do every single week. If you're not on Underdog Fantasy, you can scan the QR code there, or you can go to underdogfantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app. Use code FLURRY, FLURRY, get a $1,000 deposit bonus. And there's a bunch of other promos going on. There's another 1/2 yard promo right now. So it's just a freebie pick, but there's pick 'em, higher, lower, more, less, you get it. There's also drafts. You can jump into weekly drafts just for this week, just for a certain time slot games. There's still going to be some best ball, and then obviously other sports as well. Definitely go check them out. But we will be giving you 3 picks. Does anybody want to start?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
I'm going Justin Tucker over 2.5 extra points. Play the Raiders this week. I think the Raiders are a dog shit team. The Ravens, I think, come back, and kind of lay a statement game here. It was kind of weird to see Justin Tucker miss a field goal. I know it was tough. Started the year 0-1, but Ravens scored 3 touchdowns in this game easy. I think Derrick Henry scores 1. I think they maybe they rush for 3. I think they get 2 early. I'm fine with chasing 3 touchdowns from the Ravens and 3 extra points for Justin Tucker here.
I like it as well. Trevor, how about you?
Since you went kicker, I will not go kicker. Mine is a little more aggressive. I think if A-Chain plays, I think he's falling in the end zone. I think he's a difference maker. I think he's going to get a decent amount of touches. So 0.5 rush plus receiving touchdowns. I think he's getting in there somehow. But the other one I was going to say before you went kicker, Jason Sanders, 2.5 extra points. I don't see a way Miami doesn't score 3 touchdowns.
You're in on Miami this week.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And that's a good one to advertise. Underdog has new vulture protection this year. H.A. I assume will be one of the players chosen. So what it is, say Jahmyr Gibbs has vulture protection. Jahmyr Gibbs gets the Lions all the way down the field, and then they put David Montgomery in. David Montgomery gets the touchdown. But you picked higher on Gibbs' touchdowns, and all of a sudden now you don't lose, you get a refund or it'll get voided. It's pretty good. Vulture Protection is the only DFS site that is doing that, and I absolutely love it. I put together a 5-pick that I do like. Only one of them has alt yards, and I moved it for a little bit lower multiplier. I moved Cooper Kupp's down to 79.5. It was at 89.5. I think he gets 100 anyway, but that's fine. But I have Kyron Williams getting a touchdown. I like that. This might be my favorite one. Greg Dortch higher than 3 receptions. The slot receiver always gets peppered with targets by Kyler Murray. He got a bunch, I think 8 targets in week 1. He should go higher than 3. And if he gets exactly 3, then that's a tie. Doesn't lose your entry either. So he just has to get over 2. I have Will Levis lower than 198.5 passing yards. No shot he gets 200 yards.
He might be lower than 100 passing yards, if we're being honest.
Yeah, playing the Jets, not good. It's not going to work.
It was interesting. I thought you said 98.5, and even then I was like,
Still fine.
I think I'm still taking it. Like I don't think he finishes this game.
Yeah, and you got DeAndre Hopkins with a torn MCL. Like he's not going to be doing much of anything, I don't think. Calvin Ridley, I don't trust to get open ever. Not great. And then the other one I have is Ezekiel Elliott over 39.5 rushing yards. I like that one as well. So that's 5 picks for essentially 8 times your money. I like all of them. Go ahead and put them all in. Put the other 2 in as well. You can do a 7-pick. You can do up to an 8-pick on Underdog Fantasy. And if you do that, over 5 picks, it's automatically a flex, which means you can get 1 wrong and still get paid out. And if you go over 5, then you can get 2 wrong and still get a payout. Pretty good. Didn't read this. It's fairly bad. One guy has Christian McCaffrey and Barkley. Another has Jonathan Taylor and Mixon. Another Gibbs and Bijan. Well, I'm sort of cooked. Like, call my team out if you want. If you give me a hand. You can, and we can help you out. But, I mean, again, I don't think you're completely cooked. The guy who has McCaffrey and Barkley has to be shitting himself a little bit. Because it's like, Barkley, how long is he going to stay healthy? And now I don't have healthy McCaffrey. Like, will these two ever play together? Who knows?
I wonder. He was the guy who said he had all those running backs, and we said, you can trade for a bona fide.
Yeah.
I wonder if McCaffrey's on the board.
I think he is.
Maybe.
I think that's really tantalizing, McCaffrey and Barkley. I think Joe Mixon is big too. I think there's a chance that owner is going, I need to sell high on Joe Mixon. Not thinking that, at least personally, I think Joe Mixon goes hog wild this year. I don't know. I don't think he's the bona fide RB1 he's looking for, but I think he's better than the guys he has.
I'm going opposite of you, Trevor. I think that you can get Jonathan Taylor away from that team and talk up that Mixon as RB1.
Maybe. If I'm not buying a single fucking share of Mixon after he gets 30 touches, that's not good football. There's no shot that happens. 30? He's going to get hurt. And then it's Dameon Pierce again and Cam Akers. And then there's going to be a week this year, like every year, where we have to say, should we be picking up Cam Akers?
Luke, close that mouth. We're not talking about Cam Akers.
You're speaking my language right now.
There's going to be a week where we pick up Cam Akers with the thought of playing him. It always happens. And if that's the case, much like we know Tyrod's going to start this year. So is Aaron Rodgers going to get the Jets so far ahead where gets to take a week off? Or is Aaron Rodgers getting hurt? Something real we need to be talking about. Like, there's just things that always happen in the NFL. And Cam Akers is going to let me down. And to let me down, he has to have expectations.
And I can't wait for it.
Oh, it's the best. It's one of the best feelings.
Yeah.
Like, you son of a bitch, you did it again.
Yeah.
And see you next year. Same thing. Same time.
Yeah.
Did he just get hurt, or was that 2 times ago?
He did just get hurt. He did just get hurt, and he got hurt 2 times ago.
You're probably right.
So
God, I love him.
For me, Clyde Edwards-Helaire fits into that same narrative.
I do like Clyde. I'm still Mahomes wanted him drafted.
Right.
Like, Mahomes still loves him.
They're keeping him for a reason.
Yeah. Before we get to that, Jay, what happened trying to avoid high points on my bench. So I'm thinking of trading Adams and Dobbins. Is there Cup a reach? Trading Adams and Dobbins together to get Cup. I think you could make that happen if that's what you're saying.
At this point it'd probably be hard, but I think at some point you could probably get more than Cup with these guys. Like if Adams goes for he's going to go for 120 and a touchdown soon. If you really don't like Devontae Adams, I think you can get Cup with someone else.
Yeah, and there's a chance people right now, though, if I'm wanting to get rid of Dobbins, there's a chance right now people are thinking Dobbins is going to be consistently great.
Yeah.
And if you can get someone thinking that, then you could sell him pretty high. But after, he has a bad game, it's similar to Drake London. It's like best case scenario, people are going to view him as inconsistent. So Jay, 6 team. Is that 16. What it was? 16?
Yep.
Okay. Hurts, A-Chain, Henry, Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Kyle Pitts. Don't love that. James Cook, Baltimore defense, Fairbairn. You got Rashad White, Jalen Waddle, Drake London, Tank Dell, A. Smith, one of them, Montgomery, Bowers, and Chubb that's a lot of players, man.
Put David Montgomery in your flex instead of James Cook right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drake London, if there's still a believer, maybe you include him in a trade. But yeah, I'm packaging if I can. If A-Chain doesn't get ruled out, I'm willing to package A-Chain this week with something. I mean, you got to have a league mate who doesn't have good receivers, right?
Yep.
Or questions. Would you do the Miami guys, A-Chain and Waddle, like packaging them together? I kind of love that.
Yep.
I don't hate packaging. Like if we would really want to have some fun here, A-Chain, Waddle, and London, and getting a stud running back and a stud receiver.
Yeah, I mean, if you can make that happen, I would love that.
Have some fun with trades in 6-man league. It's very fun.
Yeah, if you're playing in a 6-man league and you are sitting on your players and not wanting to trade, that has to be the worst player to play with. This is a league built for trades, so hopefully that happens. Richard, 1 PPR, Zay Flowers, DK Metcalf, Ramondre Stevenson.
Flowers.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't feel good about
Okay, next question.
I don't feel good about any of these.
I don't either. I think I'd go Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, I guess Ramondre, you're getting guaranteed touches.
Yeah. I think he has the best chance at a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. Parker, I want to trade away ETN, David Montgomery. If I trade away ETN, who should I aim to get? And if I trade away David Montgomery, who should I aim to get? I'd like to do RB for RB. I hate doing position for position trades.
Don't do it.
It feels like you have to find someone who believes the exact opposite opinion as you.
Yeah.
Which that's tough.
Well, if you're doing a running back for a running back and you want to trade David Montgomery, you have to find a running back that's going to be better than David Montgomery. And I think that the running backs that are going to be better than David Montgomery are probably untradeable.
Yep. I would agree.
Yeah.
And even then,
I think you have to package something.
ETN, you're trading them low. You would be trading them low this week. I don't like that either.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that. I would, if you want to do a trade, package a receiver or a tight end or something with one of those guys, you kind of have to. It's so hard to just say, because if you're talking about position for position trades, I mean, just look at my rankings, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just saying who's the better player.
Parker, I don't think that you should trade ETN and David Montgomery. Let it ride for another week.
I agree. I'm going to head off, package Miami duo with London. That's a fun trade.
Yeah.
Someone's getting fun players. Who should I try to target in terms of a running back? I would for sure try Christian McCaffrey because that owner could have a wide variety of opinions on him.
Yeah. I think you try a Montgomery, or not a Montgomery, a McCaffrey, you try a Barkley, you try a Breece Hall, and just see what happens. And then maybe if you can build something off of that.
I don't think you're going to be able to get Saquon. You know the people in your league better than us. I think you kind of won't be able to touch the top 5, excluding Christian McCaffrey, just because someone could be like, fuck this, I'm not going to deal with that,
Jay, even if you have if you have Jordan Mason on your team, if you could throw him in there and get McCaffrey, I think, and you probably don't. I'm sure he's picked up, but if there's somehow he's available, pick him up and you could throw him in there. You could probably get McCaffrey.
Yeah. Yeah. We are going to jump off here, but we will be jumping right back on for a different show, Lombardi Sweep, where we talk about the Green Bay Packers. A little shorter show, giving our analysis, going over the latest news, the injury report, and our picks for the game. So it's a good show if you want to bet on the Packers, if you want to learn more about the Packers, or if you just love our beautiful faces and personality, then you might as well join back. And there's a girl coming.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
big news. Big news.